Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, here back with another reaction video today for the react to 10 WWE promos that got uncomfortably real. This should be interesting. Without further ado, let's get right into it. What's up? Is this on?
Some promos hit extra hard, like when wrestlers come armed with vicious material against their opponents.
He's a part-time and fake-ass.
I'm still here because you can't do your job.
From disrespectful jabs to flat-out burying.
Do you want to know what I see when I look in that ring? Women who have turned to reality television because they just weren't gifted enough to be actresses.
Not to mention those hard-hitting lines that help enhance the story being told.
Eddie ain't in heaven. Eddie's down there. In hell!
We'll run through various examples today, as we highlight 10 of the most savage WWE promos.
You're playing Little League with your little insults and your rhymes and your millions and millions and your finallys, and I'm in the big leagues. Come Royal Rumble, understand your arms are just too short to box with God.
On the August 16th Raw from '99, The Undertaker cut probably the worst promo of his career. It was a monotonous diatribe about how Taker left his partner Big Show alone in the desert with a bike that had no gas in it to prove that the Giant was actually tough.
I drove off and left him. I waited on the outskirts of the desert. 2 days later, he comes walking out with a snake necktie and lizard boots, carrying his Harley Davidson on his shoulder.
This monologue drew crickets from the audience.
You could tell that was a Vince. You could tell that was a Vince script. Vince was like, make sure you say this so that way you can look good. It's like, Vince, that's not good enough. I don't care, just do it, damn it.
And was quite rightly buried by Chris Jericho, who was due to interrupt after only debuting the previous week.
You two morons couldn't string together two intelligent words, and I was forced to come out here and save this segment.
Jericho verbally destroyed the Phenom so much that it got Chris heat backstage after, especially since he was the new guy coming from enemy territory in WCW.
The only thing scary about you two is the amount of TV time you get, which causes the people to pick up the remote and change the channel looking for a hero.
It was pretty funny because I realized afterwards that I thought, maybe I better be a little bit more careful with things that I say about some of the guys.
Taker fired back at Y2J with some lines that resembled his future biker character more than that of the mythical Phenom.
But judging from that peach fuzz you're trying to grow on your chin, I can tell I got more shower time than you've got ring time.
All this interaction did was prove how out of depth this version of The Undertaker was in the Attitude Era, since the promo styles of Jericho, Rock and Austin were becoming the norm rather than Taker's shtick, which was outdated by this point.
And I'm here to say that Raw is now dead and buried, and long live Raw is Jericho!
Jericho, being a mid-carder at the time, got in trouble for burying Taker, a main eventer. But a month earlier, it was the opposite, as The Rock, who was among the biggest stars in the company, verbally laid down to a mid-carder and Billy Gunn. During this period, the Great One's roast against lower-card wrestlers often hit harder since they were rarely given the promo time to respond.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
The Rock says, who is the British Bulldog to The Rock? A nothing, a nobody, a blemish on The Rock's buttocks. The Rock says this, British Bulldog, you run your mouth about how you're a big dog, about how you've got a big bark. Well, The Rock says your bark, quite frankly, sounds like this.
The promo on Gunn occurred on the July 11th edition of Sunday Night Heat and is one of the most recitable Rock promos of all time, as the Brahma Bull pretended to be God speaking to Billy.
Oh dear God, my name's Billy, and I just won King of the Ring, but there's one problem. Everybody still thinks
that I absolutely suck.
Your house started to shake, the heavens opened up, and God himself spoke to you and said this, Bob,
but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Though Gunn did score a pinfall victory over Rock on television, it was otherwise a one-sided feud, with this promo being the highlight.
You must go find The Rock. Oh my God, anybody but The Rock. Know your role and shut your mouth.
This wasn't the only time Gunn got roasted hard on the mic. After winning the 2001 King of the Ring, Edge's promo against Billy was just as brutal, mainly because of how far Gunn had fallen down the pecking order since the Rock feud.
1999 is so 2 years ago.
And it's not my fault if you've done a big pile of nothing since then, that I will not Billy Gunn this King of the Ring title. That the first act in the era of awesomeness will be to totally annihilate Billy Bitch Cakes.
The Rock was among those on the receiving end of our next tirade, courtesy of CM Punk. Punk has cut many savage promos in his time, but the one on Raw from January 7, 2013 was particularly memorable. Punk sought to cut another pipe bomb, doing so by once again calling out the WWE and their imaginary brass rings, something Punk was still fighting against despite being the WWE champ.
Here's the truth about the WWE is that it doesn't matter if you're the best wrestler, it doesn't matter if you're the best talker, it doesn't matter if you're the best overall performer, it doesn't matter if you make the two clowns sitting to my left on commentary look like amateur hour. There is a glass ceiling and nobody is allowed to break it.
Punk brought up various wrestlers and mentioned how John Cena had constantly been in main events, despite supposedly having the worst year of his career.
Why do you think a guy like John Cena, who has admittedly had the worst year of his career, gets title shot after title shot after title shot after title shot? Or why an invisible child, little Jimmy, is better positioned on the flagship show Monday Night Raw than a workhorse like Tyson Kidd?
These were legit frustrations of fans at the time, since John was still main eventing shows instead of Punk, who'd been champion for over a year. Then Punk went at The Rock, his upcoming opponent at the Royal Rumble.
You can make fun of the color of my t-shirt, and you can talk about pie, and you can sing songs, and you can rhyme, and you can do your tired, lame-ass shtick. I just want you to know that come Royal Rumble, I'm gonna kick your ass because I'm the best in the world.
The WWE champion called out the Great One for relying on comedy, doing so in a way that really built intrigue for their match.
You're playing Little League with your little insults and your rhymes and your millions and millions and your finallys, and I'm in the big leagues and I'm swinging for the fence.
Punk closed with an iconic line to top off one of his best ever promos.
Come Royal Rumble, understand when you step in the ring, your arms are just too short to box with God.
Punk's now wife and girlfriend at the time, AJ Lee, dropped her own pipe bomb on Raw 7 months later. The show Total Divas had just debuted, while AJ was champion, so she cut a scathing promo on the cast from the show, who were all in the ring and at ringside.
I just watched last night's episode of Total Divas. I mean, the Bellas were dealing with their obvious daddy issues. Natalia's fiance isn't much of a man.
AJ spoke about how she had brought prestige to the title, only for those in front of her to steal the spotlight with the new reality show.
Do you want to know what I see when I look in that ring? A bunch of cheap, interchangeable, expendable, useless women. Women who have turned to reality television because they just weren't gifted enough to be actresses.
The promo was unfair on Natalya and Naomi, both who were on the Total Divas show, but were actually good wrestlers at the time, unlike the others who AJ went at.
I have shattered glass ceilings. I have broken down doors. Why? So a bunch of ungrateful, stiff plastic mannequins can waltz on through without even as much as a thank you? You just skipped!
AJ had been a vocal point of storylines in 2012, but hadn't competed for the Divas Championship within that time. Meanwhile, barely anything of note happened with the title throughout the previous year, so at least now, following this promo, the division finally had a story being told.
I have done more in 1 year than all of you have done in your entire collective careers.
So I was just like, oh, I did a good promo. And I had no idea like everything that would happen after, and it would cause like 6 months of like pay-per-view title matches. Yeah. But I thought that was my favorite part of it. It was like we got to do a story for every single girl, every single pay-per-view after that.
In 2006, the WWE frequently used Eddie Guerrero's passing in storylines. There were a few infamous examples.
Eddie ain't in heaven. Eddie's down there. In hell!
Maybe he's in hell, maybe he's not. I don't know. And I don't care.
But one which fans may have forgotten is Mark Henry's promo from the June 30th SmackDown. Henry was being pushed as an unstoppable monster heel at the time, so WWE had him disparage the Guerrero family to get heat.
See, Chavo Guerrero is just a parasite, sucking off the Guerrero name. In fact, all the Guerreros are parasites. That's true, I know all of them.
Mark then dropped another shocking line.
Of course, JBL will say some stupid shit.
Guerrero name, and I spit on you, Chavo Guerrero. And if your Uncle Eddie was still alive, I would spit on him.
And here comes Chavo Guerrero.
After that, Henry proceeded to single-handedly destroy both Chavo and world champion Rey Mysterio at the same time. It's also worth noting that neither man would ever get any form of revenge on Henry, which was odd booking, especially given Mox's comments. Bret Hart's heel turn in 1997 was so burning in a sense that he began to complain more and more each week. The true tipping point was his promo on the Go Home Raw for WrestleMania 13 before Bret's match with Stone Cold. After being screwed out of winning the WWF title in a cage match versus Sid, Bret went nuts, moaning about constantly being cheated.
Extremely frustrated over what has just happened.
Whoa! Frustrated isn't a goddamn word for it! This is bullshit!
Bret swore and cursed in a way rarely seen in WWF at the time, showing how good he could be as a heel.
Cut him off! If you don't like it, tough shit!
It was entertaining.
One of the best promos ever.
Like this.
You know why they call you Stone Cold? Because your stones are so cold, your stones, you won't come out here and step in the ring with me yourself. You always gotta jump me from behind. You got the guts to come out here. Come on!
Fans could really feel the rage in his words, but the fact that he went at them too made this more of a heel promo, despite the fact Bret's complaints were legit. Just like Bret's work with Austin, Jim Cornette's shoot promos on Raw in late 97 was another prime example of how WWF was shifting to an edgier, more attitudinal product. There were two segments in particular where Cornette raised hell by burying the NWO, WCW, and its wrestlers. The first was on October 6th, when Jim first took aim at the New World Order.
The NWO was like a bunch of guys meeting out in the backyard in a clubhouse in a tree. All they have to do is go out there and be themselves. Childish, obnoxious, adolescent guys with a case of severe arrested emotional development and a fixation on trying to act macho.
Corny then singled out Kevin Nash.
You got a guy like Kevin Nash, 40 years old, trying to act like a teenager. As far as I'm concerned, the biggest no talent in the business. He's got 6 moves, no mobility, and enough timing to cover up.
Damn, that's an ether right there.
Perhaps got it the worst from James E here.
And then you got a guy, 6, 1, 2, 3 kid. His name's Sean Waltman, whatever you want to call him. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the only reason that he's employed is because the other guys think that he's funny when he gets drunk and throws up on himself.
Jim also buried Eric Bischoff for spending lots of billionaire Ted Turner's money.
So he takes that billionaire's money and he throws it around like water to buy guys that he can hang around with to prove that his Johnson is bigger than everybody else.
A few weeks later on the October 27th Raw, Cornette had words for the WWF's own Shawn Michaels and the Heartbreak Kid's bad attitude backstage.
Well, Shawn Michaels is still the single most talented athlete in wrestling today inside the ring. But outside, he's an adolescent, obnoxious jerk who takes his tights and goes home if he doesn't get his way.
Corny ranted about the previous night's cage match between Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper at WCW's Halloween Havoc.
By the 10-minute mark, they were sucking wind so bad, the first 3 rows passed out of oxygen deprivation. Would have been funny if it wasn't so sad. This match was a slap in the face to every wrestler that takes pride in his profession.
Cornette closed with a parting shot to the Hulkster.
And on a personal note to Hulk Hogan, you are a household word, but so is garbage. And it stinks when it gets old, too. I'm Jim Cornette, and that's what I think.
Cornette's frenemy, Paul Heyman, was in dire straits by June 2000.
Yo, that's a bar right there. That's a bar. Hold up. That's a bar right there. That's a bar right there. You might be a household name, but so is garbage. Dog, that's... Yo, that's a bar right there, bruh.
Wrestling show on TNN was set to be replaced by WWF Raw. Meanwhile, Paul and ECW were about to go bust. TNN were one of the contributors to this, since the network barely advertised or put any money behind the extreme promotion, while also trying to water down and censor their edgy product. Fed with the network's treatment, Heyman cut a shoot promo that aired for ECW on TNN's show. Paul lamented the lack of promotion and how much TNN had failed ECW.
I'd like to take this moment to thank you for watching ECW. You have to be an ECW fan to watch this show because God knows the network has never put out one freaking commercial or one press release to let you know that we're here. But that's their scheme of things. You see, in just a few weeks, the network is going to give $100 million to Vince McMahon like he needs it to replace us. In case they haven't thrown us off before then.
Heyman was at his wit's end with little left to lose. He spat bullets at TNN.
We hate this stinking network. We hate their guts for abandoning us. We hate their guts for not supporting us. We hate their guts for not advertising us. And we hate their guts for not having the balls to throw us off the air. And just in case you're watching this, hey, network, I dare you to throw me off the air. Because I'm going to break every rule that you put in front of me until you throw me the hell off the air.
It was a legendary promo that embodied the rebellious spirit of ECW.
Are you ready to throw us off the air yet, Pete?
We all remember John Cena's raps where he savagely tore down countless wrestlers in hilarious fashion. One of the most hard-hitting came against Big Show on the December 11th, 2003 SmackDown. The Giant had dressed like a rapper and already spit some bars of his own, so now it was time for Cena to shrink Show down to size.
Could you repeat that last line? I didn't really get that. I just heard you heavy breathing, dude, and choking on your neck fat.
John's bars were ruthless, but Show's brilliant reactions to each line made them that much better.
I can't believe how out of shape that you getting. You've been talking for 30 seconds, dude. You already sweating.
Cena made fun of Show's eating habits, hygiene, and weight.
Did you eat from the toilet? I'm smelling mysterious gases. Oh, bro, close your mouth. You get the breath of 1,000 asses.
I mean, he was playing along with it, so it's not that hard.
Or you rocking some phony pits. You just a fat slob with hairy baloney. You need to hit them sit-ups too. You're not exactly the leanest. Forget seeing me, bro. You can't see your own penis.
John finished up with a ball shot for good measure.
So now your rap career is over. It's time for you to quit. Ain't no place for a 500-pound talking piece of...
Perhaps Cena's most savage promo of all time, however, came against Roman Reigns on the August 28th episode of Raw from 2017. This occurred during the period where fans were fed up with WWE, pushing Roman down their throats, similar to how they did with Cena a decade previous. Only Roman was a lot further behind where John was at the same stage. For that reason, it was fitting that Cena said the things he did to Reigns.
I don't know if anyone's ever told you this. They go back and forth with you because when they look at you, they see what I see. A cheap-ass, corporately created John Cena bootleg.
When Reigns stopped mid-sentence and paused, John swooped in and savaged the big dog before you could say anything.
Yeah, specific promo with John Cena.
Oh, yeah, that was one of them, yeah.
You blanked?
I'm trying to think back, yeah, I believe I did, yeah.
And second of all...
Go ahead, find it, go ahead. It's called a promo, kid, and if you want to be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it, so go ahead. See ya, fourth wall!
John's words didn't just cut through Roman, they were also an indictment of how WWE failed to book a top babyface to replace Cena.
I'm still here because you can't do your job.
Something John had previously been vocal about in out-of-character interviews.
A lot of the reason the reactions are the way they are is for quite a few years, WWE didn't step up to the plate and correctly provide new main event talent.
Cena's mic drop moment came after Reigns ragged on John for being a part-timer. Famous last words, to say the least.
He's a part-timing, fake-ass...
You should be ashamed I'm a part-timer, because I can do this part-time better than you could ever do it full-time.
Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on the top 10 wrestlers The Rock absolutely.
Anyway, so that's just going to about do it for this one. Most definitely, man. Most definitely. I feel like some of these, I don't feel like they was too real. Except that Jim Cornet one. That Jim Cornet one, yeah, he went harder to paint on that one. Nigga said, you might be a household name, but so is garbage, bro. That's a bar, bro. That's a bar, bro. I don't care what y'all say. That's a motherfucking bar. Oh my god. But anyway, so that just go about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, bye.